I'm okay with it when you got Joe Burrow's offense and Jaden Daniels' offense, and it may not be that big of an issue even when you have Garrett Nussmeier's offense because of how potent this year's attack could be. But you have to be a threat on special teams.
100%.
I mean, it is now becoming too much of a storyline for LSU in fumbling these special teams around. This is inexplicable in really football standards. When you have the roster that LSU is able to put together and you have the resources of what LSU has, you should not really ever struggle in special teams. I mean, when you've got Caleb Jackson returning kicks and you got the selection of what they have to return punts and you have the recruiting geography and budget and ability to go find a kicker anywhere in the country. I mean,
right.
Where was our guy from who kicked the game winner against Cole Tracy?
Cole Tracy. What was Assumption?
New York?
Yeah, something like that.
Wherever. You get on a plane and go find a kicker in Central America if you have to. I mean, wherever it is, LSU should not struggle at teams the way they have the past couple of seasons. I get that you may miss on somebody. I think it's tough to miss on a punter.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's tough to be like, the guy kicked consistently for 4 years in high school.
Yeah.
And now he's gotten to LSU and he can't find it. I think that missing on a punter is probably tough to do, but it seems that they've missed on a punter in Peyton Todd. I mean, you're just not supposed to be here this long and still be in a competition like he is. And that's just calling the spade. But even in that sense, for as wild as the West has been in recruiting, if you're LSU, who's the best Conference USA? Who's the best? Give me a Big 12. At this point, who's the best Pac-12 punter? And pick up the phone and call them. That's all been happening over the last couple of years, but they've got to get into a place where this is no longer an issue. If there was one thing that LSU has kind of set the mark on, it really started under Saban, was consistent special teams that Les Miles carried through, that Ed Ogeron made, he made that a priority of finding kickers and kicking the ball out of the end zone and, making sure the special teams was tightened up. But under Brian Kelly, if there's any criticisms, and there are a few, there isn't, it's not a lot, but one of them is special teams.
Yeah.
He's not got that wrangled yet. And he was asked a question about it the other day in a press conference when he was kind of asked of, bringing some of the old guys back now with the unlimited capability that they have with the coaching staff. He's got Bob Diaco is now back up there spending some time with special teams. He's got a collection of like Brad Davis, Cortez Hankton, who have spent time with teams in the past, over the past couple of seasons. And then you've got Coach Nagel, who was brought in the offseason, where that was kind of his, almost a title for him when he was brought in, wasn't it? That was his title.
I think tight end coach as well as special teams,
And to me, at LSU, and look, this is not to bang on Brian Kelly at all. Kelly is doing, a magnificent job of restoring LSU football and making it competitive again. I disagree with that, though. I disagree at LSU of not having a sole-focused teacher, coach on the teams, on special teams. I just think that's too easy. It's too easy. And I don't mean to sound, like, well, you just go grab the money, but come on, you're LSU football. What's $280,000? What's $300,000 a year for a salary of a special teams coordinator? Sure, I understand that it affects the bottom line. But, I mean, in 2024, does it really? I mean, when it comes down to the possibility of losing games, there's no way it does. There's no way that it does. And I would just think whether or not this season works out with the collection of coaches focusing on special teams, I think this has got to be the last year of that experiment.
100%.
Right? And I'm not saying go get Greg McMahon back. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's a lot of people. Like, there's got to be, and if McMahon's the guy, he's proven that he can do it. So, I mean, if you're going to bring Corey Raymond back and you're going to bring Blake Baker back, you might as well interview him. I mean, if the old staff is still on the table, he was fantastic when he was running LSU Special Teams department. I mean, it was running at a high level and was as consistent as it has ever been. And I think ultimately that's what you're looking for in special teams, right? Like, just give me consistency. Let me know every single time that the snap's going to be on time, that the snap's going to be on target, that the guy's going to punt the ball on average down the field, that we're going to catch punts, that you're going to be able to field kickoffs, that you're going to be able to fin punts, and like consistently. Don't ever let special teams beat you, right? And LSU they've allowed special teams to creep up on them and beat them in games that they might have should have won. You know, I mean, I can't sit here and tell you they win the game if Malik Neighbors catches one of those punts. You got a better chance, though.
Right.
You know what I mean? You got a better shot if he fields one of them against Florida State 2 years ago. And, you know, I mean, what happens if Jack Besh doesn't fumble the opening kickoff against Tennessee? Does Tennessee still win the game? Probably, but hey, it's easy to start, you know, in Tiger Stadium when you're kicking off and you get the ball at your own, you know, at their 25 to start the game. It changes the whole dynamic of it, and the reason is because, you know, you got your special teams coordinator dancing on midfield before the game, and you're confused. I mean, it was like that kind of cost you.
Yeah.
You know, I just think that you're LSU football. You know, I mean, it's one thing to penny pinch in programs where the revenue's not there, or you just don't have the access to the money. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, I mean, what's the going rate for a top flight special teams coordinator these days? I mean, who is the highest paid special teams coordinator in the country? I'd venture to say he makes probably $750,000, $800,000. Go hire somebody for $400,000. Your LSU football. That's money well spent. I mean, every home game you rake in $3 million. The guy blocks one punt for you. He's worth it. I mean, you know. So I just think that's come on. This is the brand's too big.
It is Jeff Banks at Texas. He's their tight ends coach and special teams coordinator, and he makes $1.15 million a year.
He's probably a pretty good tight ends coach, too.
Yeah. Clemson, Mike Reed at Clemson, $900,000.
Only special teams?
I think so.
You know, I mean, even like Texas.
Right.
If I was doing this show in Austin, I would have the same narrative. Like, we got our tight ends coaching special teams.
Slade Nagel at LSU, $500,000. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think Nagel is worth $500,000 a year.
Definitely.
Because he can recruit Louisiana. He's got great ties. He's a fantastic football coach, coaching tight ends. He's got great experience. I'd be okay if he wasn't the special teams coordinator.
Right.
And you still paid him $500,000.
You got money. Money's not an issue.
Money's not the issue.
At all.
Money's not the issue. And to be fair, they've never said that money's the issue. My argument would be like, you got the money, like, spend it.
Do it.
And now you got unlimited amount of coaches. Keep Nagel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, keep whoever the guy is that was being discussed that you can't do it because of the limitations on coaches. That's gone. You know, I mean, like, I do think it's a great indicator, and this is no disrespect, you know, but when you look at the guys that are no longer with the program right now, they're not coaching anywhere, you know, and again, all nice guys. I think Steeples is an analyst somewhere, Cooks is an analyst somewhere, but the point being is that nobody was flocking to those guys to hire them, to bring them in. There are a lot of jobs open in college football. I mean, really, every offseason, there are a lot of jobs that open up, right? And LSU's, if you've got that on the resume, that's going to move the meter. That's going to make people watch, look. You know, I mean, Bob Diaco running the special teams at LSU, I'm sorry, that doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, I mean, Bob Diaco as a special teams analyst for LSU, I'm in. I buy it. I'm good with it. But LSU's special teams being coached by Hankton, Davis, Nagel, Diaco, come on. I want Cortez Hankton focused on developing, and just like he's been great at. And does Cortez Hankton helping guys catch punts, does that take him away from his job? No, I don't believe that. I mean, I still think that he's the best wide receivers coach and the best, one of the best offensive coordinators. Could be one of the best offensive coordinators in the country. And if he's helping a guy catch a punt, I don't think that it's going to steal time from him maximizing that. But I really don't want him over there every day, just like I don't want Brad Davis over there every day. I'd like Brad Davis really focused on the offensive line. When they go special teams, I'd love for one guy, one voice to step up and, that's his role. And I just think that's, will it cost you a check? Maybe not, but I think it's a very low-hanging fruit to just say, hey, we've struggled here. We've got the budget. Here's a list of the top guys. Let's make a call.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely a focus on improving the special teams issue on the field, because yesterday when they went to punt and punt return, it was pretty much everyone on the field was focused on that. Like, you had a lot of guys out there. You had your returners. You had really your starting defense running down defending punt. Like, I think they had Harold Perkins as a gunner, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But, like, you had Harold Perkins, Whit Week, Sage Ryan, Major Burns, all running down on punt. And so you've seen them really focus on fixing it on the field. But I do agree with you that at some point this, whatever the reason behind not just hiring a special teams coordinator and letting someone just run that section of practice and that section of the team, at some point you're going to have to, if it's not fixed this season, something's got to happen next offseason where you just hire somebody.
I think if it's a problem early in the season, you bring somebody in.
I agree.
Like, you don't have the luxury of even like
waiting.
Or if you look up in game 2 and you're like, fellas, you got special teams issues again.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, no. This can't go on the third year.
Yeah.
Like, go get me a list of the top guys that are either on the streets or in a final year of a contract, whatever it may be. Get me, you tell your agent, hey, find me the best special teams coordinators in the country and get me a list of the top 5s, and I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
I want to talk to their agent, or I want to talk to them today. Yeah. I want to get this done, because if special teams cost LSU a game, it's not a fireable offense, but that's a mark.
Yeah,
that's a mark on Kelly that you're like, hey man, get that straight. You don't want to play roulette with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that could get you as an SEC head coach. If you're at one of the big brands, if you're at Bama, Georgia, Texas, LSU, like, make sure you got that part tightened up.
Because you've got the players on the field.
Exactly.
You've got the guys.
It's inexcusable.
Right.
It's inexcusable.
It really is.
It's inexcusable.
Because you've got a defense that's full of guys that can make the play and tackle the guy. You've got people that can go rush the punter and try to block the punt. You've got viable returners that other schools would kill to have. Who wouldn't want an Aaron Anderson, Jelani Watkins, Kyle Parker, Xavier Thomas back there returning kickoffs and punts?
Not only that, like the special teams coordinator, you really have the entire selection of the team. It's not like you want the wide receiver, take the wide receiver. You want the DB, take the DB. You want the linebacker, take the linebacker.
The best linebacker in the country to be a
gunner. You want the running back?
Make it happen.
You can have them.
Right.
So, and that's why another reason, like, at LSU, you're like, holy cow. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'll take him. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're like, this is unfair almost.